we go. All right, so now we're recording. That way I can post this to Blackboard for the, I don't know, 25 people who are not here, because I'm sure they're going to want to know this information also. Let's see, anybody else trying to join us on Zoom? You there, Angelica?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. You can see us okay? You see my screen and whatnot?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. Oh, you were waving. I don't know. It's got a tiny screen. Anyway, so what I have here that I'm circling with my mouse here, this is, for instance, like your video clips. All right. So I have 3 video clips, and I have the audio. So let's just. This is not a audible audio piece, but I just grabbed some audio for the demonstration because your audio will look like this once you create it in Audible and you set it, you go export as a wave or export as a whatever. When you export your clips, it'll look something like this. It's okay if you have exported each one of your 5-second soundscape pieces individually, that's fine. They don't have to be clumped together yet. You can do that inside of QuickTime as I will demonstrate. So the first thing I want to do is house everything, put everything together. When you create a video, whether it's simple like this, but particularly if it is complex, the first thing to do is to create what we call root folder. A root folder, R-O-O-T. This root folder is like the briefcase that holds all of the stuff. We call that stuff assets. So all the assets get saved to what we call a root folder. This is super important when you're working with professional software and you're working with complex projects, because when you get to that point, or when you're working on projects like that, the videos are sort of linked together. They're not actually housed inside your project. So what that means is it's more like the root folder kind of acts like a traffic signal cop who's saying, okay, go over here, and then you're here, you go over there, sort of directs everything. Also, when you move one of your project, let's say you try to save your project to a jump drive or to a hard drive or something like that, you must take all of the things that belong to it. So a video is made up of a bunch of video clips and some audio clips and so on. So if you were to try to take that project and move it somewhere, you definitely want to have all of the video clips and audio clips with it. So for that reason, we create a root folder, and that's just a fancy folder. We just put it all into a folder. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new folder with everything in it. You can do it however you want. I just did it that way. But and what you want to call it is something that will remind you every time you look at it what it actually is. So I'm going to call this one. Right, you get a hold of it. There we go. 5x5 root. And I do use, as you can see, well, you may not be able to see because it's pretty far away. I don't use spaces. I use an underscore when I title everything. I also don't use capital letters when I can avoid it. That's just another sort of housekeeping thing that you'll want to do. So I have everything into a folder. That's step number 1. Put it all into a folder. Really simple. Next, we got to reduce the video clips down to like 5 seconds each. If you haven't already done that, it is actually a relatively simple thing to do. I've reduced this one down. I think I need to do this one. Yeah. And this one's reduced down. Yeah. So to do that, you will open up your video clip. Now, just as a note, on a Macintosh, if you're working on those, because everyone's like, how do you right click on a Mac? Because these mice are just like one thing. How do you right click? Well, you can't program it to be sensitive on either side of the mouse. However, I have found that to be unwieldy. In general, if you look down on the keyboards that are in front of all of you, you will see that there are buttons to the left of the space bar. You have Control, Option, and Command next to them, and your basically control is right-clicking. Control-click means right-click. So if I control-click, then I can get a little menu just like that, just like if you were to right click on something. Open with QuickTime Player. Now, this is, again, a relatively straightforward process. You have your clip, and like I said, I demonstrated this in class for some. You're going to go to Edit and Trim. We call this piece of software an intuitive design because rather than like spreadsheets software or financial document software and so on and so forth, those pieces of software I have found largely you cannot just sit down in front of them without an instruction manual and start working on them. The logic of where things would be aren't there. The creative software that we work with, all of the Adobe software, there's a certain logic behind it. And although they do get complex, and there are certain times when you can get kind of caught up in the web of all of the buttons and such, the structure is relatively intuitive. And what that means is if you want to do a thing, it usually is pretty obvious in the hierarchy. The top menu, as I have right there, edit, that's what I want to do. I want to edit the video. So all of the choices that I can access to edit are right there. So in this case, I've got trim, right? I want to trim the video down. If I wanted to remove the audio, which I've already have removed the audio on this one, I could do that. I'm going to show you how to remove the audio though. So I can trim this down by just clicking trim, and now I have this yellow bar that happens at the bottom. This yellow bar is just like a window, and I can isolate whatever portion I want. So I can come from the beginning here, click, and then drag it, and suddenly you can see it's like time code at the bottom that are scrolling, and I can visually just pick where I want to start. So I'm going to start right here somewhere around 10 seconds, and I'm actually going to just kind of roll it right onto 10 seconds. Then I'm going to drag the back end, knowing that I need 5-second clips, that I'm going to drag this to 15 seconds, which, the simple math tells me that's 5 seconds, right? Now I need to, pull that little clip out of there, right? This is my 5-second clip of the 24 seconds that I shot, and I'm really happy with that section. And what do you know? There's a button right there that says trim it. So I'll trim the video. By trimming the video, it creates right up at the top here, and again, I don't know if you were able to see that, untitled. In other words, it just made a new video for me. And now I simply have to save the video. And I'll have this brand new trimmed clip preserving the major one. The major one is not in the game anymore here, because I just trimmed, and it knows I'm not trying to throw away clips. It just simply created a new untitled piece that's 5 seconds long. Is that making sense so far? Do we have any questions about what I was just showing you? No? Relatively simple. File, again, something about the file, save. I go to File, Save. Now I tell it where I want to save it, right? Save it to the root folder. That way everything's nice and tidy, everything goes together. These small little moments that you do now, it may take you an extra 2 seconds to click on root folder rather than just letting it save to the desktop. But it all in the end saves you in terms of where's my stuff. Where did my video go? I saved it and it disappeared. No, it didn't disappear. You likely saved it to somewhere that you can't see. So we'll save to 5x5 root. It's covered up here. Let me see if I can't. I can't see you. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. There we go. Now it says export as. Now I can name this, and I'm going to call this light trim, okay? And I'm going to save it. Boom. Now, as we can see, that clip is right here. Making sense? Yes.
What type of file should we save the video as?
Say again?
What type of file should we save the video as?
By default, it's going to be saving it as an MOV by default. Good question. Now, here is the previous one, the longer clip that I had shot and that I trimmed out. Now, again, in order to avoid confusion, I don't want to kind of make a mistake and try to start using stuff that is the larger clip. I'm actually going to create another folder with just this little guy in there. Oops. Gonna just create a folder with this little guy in there, new folder, and I'm gonna call it unused. And essentially, this is just the folder where the things that I'm not going to be using for my final piece are going to go. So that longer clip is just sort of safe over here. And if I need to get back to it, I can get back to it. So now what I have are 3 5-second clips. However, this one has audio still attached to it. When we shot the video, the audio was still like boom, clunked in there. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to Control, open with QuickTime Player. And there it is. If I play it, it's 5 seconds long. But you can hear there's audio to it. And I probably don't want that included in my final piece. So once again, a very intuitive piece of software. I go to Edit, and whoa, what do you know? Remove the audio. Really simple. If I was going the opposite direction and I wanted to remove the video and just have audio for this, I could do that as well right down here. That's what I'm talking about, intuitive design for software. Not all pieces of software are designed this way. This is designed specifically so that you can sort of poke through it and discover. Once you understand the hierarchy, once you understand the basic sort of go here, click there. What does file mean? File means doing something like this. Every piece of software, you know, in the creative industry world is going to have something called file. Next to it, it's usually going to have something called edit. Somewhere up at the top there, it's going to have something called window, which probably has something to do with the different windows that I can pull up or not pull up, things like that. So there's a certain logic that those of you that are going to, you know, come along with us and learn more about this kind of software that you're going to discover. And what that means is there's no piece of software that you can't just sort of open up and poke through as long as it has this intuitive design. You get into other pieces of software that isn't intuitive, you cannot sit down and just open up Windows and go, oh, logically, this is where it will go, because they've embedded a really important button, like, and made it about, you know, 3 millimeters in size and embedded it 3 windows in, so on and so forth. Anyway, to remove the audio, we just hit remove audio. There's no audio there anymore now, right? It's gone. My little sort of jazz music that I was playing while I was setting up this demo is now gone, okay? Now, again, you can see because I've altered this clip, it's now created a new one. It didn't get rid of my video with audio, it just created a new one without audio. So once again, I have to save it. File, save. Once again, I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the root folder where all my business goes, and I'm going to call this one Studio Subclip or something. Again, you want to use a naming that makes sense to you, that gives you an easy way to recognize what files you're working with. So I'll close that, and as you can see, once again, I've got the Studio Subclip right here that I just made, and I've got the trim audio just to verify the audio is still there. So that is unaltered, so I'm going to drag that into the unused because I'm not going to be using that in my final piece. Any questions about that? No? Fairly simple so far. All right. It doesn't get much more complex than this. We're just going to continue to do that sort of things like this. The whole point is to keep this not complex. The whole point is to make it a very straightforward line from point A to point B for you. There are plenty of complex ways to do audio and video editing, which, again, those of you that join us for some of our more advanced classes later on, you will learn those, and the complexity isn't just for complexity's sake. The complexity is for additional control so you can massage things in ways that you couldn't do here. So let's start building our 5x5. So I have this clip that's still open, but just for demo's sake, I'll close it. So here are my 3 clips, and here's that audio that I had, saved just for you. And we're going to imagine that this audio clip is just simply, my soundscape that I've clumped together, all 5 of them together into a 25 seconds. You don't actually have to do this. You could just drag one at a time your 5-second soundscapes in. But this is my audio. So I just grabbed a random piece of audio that I had from something I was working on for a different class. Okay, so that's just audio. Now, let's open up the first clip. So we'll open this one up. Open with QuickTime. Now, like I said, this does not get any more complex than what we've already been seeing. I'm going to kind of reduce this so that we can sort of see. There's a drag and drop feature that we can use here. In other words, I've got this clip, and I want to bring these other 2 clips into this so that it kind of is one thing that I can start to play with. And it is quite simple. You click, drag, drop. And as you can see, I now have in this little window, I've got this clip, and then I have this clip. As you can see, I can select each one of them as I go. So what that means is this is clip number 1, which is part of what you're seeing. This is clip number 2. If I want to have clip number 2 be first, I grab hold of it, drag it, and move it, just like that. Right? Now I'm going to go ahead and bring clip number 3 in. Okay, and now notate that I have this clip selected. Drag clip number 3 in. Boom. It puts it at the end. Okay? So you're wondering to yourself, how do I bring that into the middle? Well, it's the same idea. I can grab hold of it. Oops, I got both of them selected. I'll grab hold of it, move it, and now I have 3 clips that I'm moving round and round and round. That's it. Once you've created your 5-second clips, you open one of those 5-second clips up, and you bring the other ones in. You drag and drop them, and then you have the freedom to sort of start organizing them however you would like to organize. Making sense? That's the video. That's it. That's as complex as it needs to be. There's much more complex stuff that we can show you, but it's not necessary for this 5x5. This 5x5 is really about the context of the video and how it relates to the audio that you created. Okay? Any questions about that? The no questions is good because I know that it's not too complex. So it's telling me that, oh, wow, this is remarkably simple. And it's designed that way. We picked this software to use, not because it's our favorite software in the world, but because there's little room for error. You actually would have to attempt to do this improperly. So we're here today to help you do that, right? Help you put it together. But it's not meant to be super complex. So just keep it as simple as what I'm showing you. Now, audio. Let's see. How complex is the audio? Well, let's see if we can do the same thing with our audio that we did with the videos. Drag, drop. Oh, look at that. Just came right in there, didn't it? Same idea. Here's the audio. It's the 5 seconds, and I'm ready to go. Now, if I had multiple audio clips, I can continue to drag those in as well and reorganize them. All of them being 5 seconds, they'll sync up, with your other pieces here. Okay, so there I go.
Nazi around areas. In the days when the Nazis were just a very comic.
Okay, so there you go. That's pretty much all that we're working with here. Okay. After you have these 2 things put together, now once again, like we've done before, we're just going to save it. As you saw in the previous ones where I was trimming the video, as soon as I altered this video, note up top, it turned into untitled. In other words, it's not messing up that original one. It created a new version. So now all I have to do is go to File. Oh, it wants me to export. Hang on. Done. You have to hit done because I'm still editing. Now I can go to File. Oh, it still wants me to export. That's new. So you're going to export. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's the same idea. File, export as, and you're going to export it as 1080p. Okay, is 1080p, which is what most of you have shot your video on, is 1080p. Because unless you have a phone from, you know, maybe 2009, all of your phones shot video at 1080p. So you would hit export, and then once again, it's asking you where. Put it in your root folder, and I'll just call this final clip. And oh, you know what you're going to need to do? You're going to need to have your name. So when you title your piece, you absolutely have to have your name. So you're going to have your name. I'm going to put A. Alexander. That's fine for you. Your first name, initial, you know, last name. If you don't have that, we will have no idea whose piece this is. So your name underscore, and then, you know what, for just consistency, I'm going to call this 5x5 soundscape. That way we know it's the 5x5 and the soundscape together, right? And then we hit save to the 5x5 root. And so it's now doing the work to save it. It shouldn't take that long because we're talking 25 seconds. And there you go. Incidentally, 1080p is Blu-ray quality. It's not 4K, but it is Blu-ray quality, which, you know, unless you have a screen, a TV screen that is any bigger than this is 65, I think, or maybe 75. Unless you have a screen that's much bigger than this, you know, to be honest, 4K is not necessary. 4K is only necessary when you are looking at an incredibly large video screen and you are within 20 inches of it. Otherwise, it's like where Ben is over there, it's perfectly sharp. You can't see pixels. You can't see anything. It's perfectly sharp. And this is 1080p. This is not 4K. So that's the idea. 1080p is well sharp enough. And we're going to be viewing our pieces on Monday on a 1080p, a 55-inch screen, the one we did we viewed on last time. So it will match perfectly. This is also why we insist that you shoot horizontal video. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting 2/3 of your video screen if you're sitting there with a video that's this way, oriented on a video screen that is horizontal. So that's it. That's my soundscape, 5x5. This is what you will save and turn into me. Okay, you're not going to be turning in your 5x5 root folder. I don't need all of your business. I just need this one file. So you're going to drag and drop this to a jump drive or send it to me as an email. Let's just see, just out of curiosity, what the size is. This one is 20 megabytes. So what's the limit on our email? Is it 24, 25, or is it 10?
That's a good question. I think it's in the 20s. There was something I tried to send you. Oh, you're in the Google music stuff. When we tried to make a whole file, we're gonna have to play with that. It was like 100 and something.
Right.
So I'm thinking it was, I think it's 50 actually.
Is it 50? Okay.
I remember seeing it, I was like, well, I have to break into the free emails.
Okay.
But I think, let's shoot with 30. We'll go between 20.
We'll go with 30. Okay.
30.
Well, this one is 20. So, you know, you might be able to email it to me. So, but if you finish it today and just hand it to me, that you're done, right? You give me a jump drive, I'll put it onto this laptop and you're done. Otherwise, you have the choice to send it to me via email over the, you know, don't send me a link to Adobe Cloud or anything like that, because that's just asking for trouble. Links are great if you don't want us to have it, if you just want us to see it, but we need to have it, okay? So if you just want us to see it, a link is just is amazing, right? Because you don't have to send a big file. However, if you want us to have it, you can't. It just causes issues because you got to get access, and you know maybe I can't get in there, and maybe it's a compressed file, like jump drive, or send me the file via email. Monday, and I'll post an announcement on Blackboard. Monday will be just like we did our Monday of the previous review week, and that will be the day where you can finally submit. So, pretty much all day Monday, you'll be racing up to me in my office, which is right through there, going, here's my jump drive, can I turn this in? Here's my jump drive, can I turn this in? I am recording this because we're on Zoom. I'm recording this. So everyone out there who is hearing me, don't show up Wednesday morning with a jump drive and expect us to be scrambling around to try to accept it. Okay? Fair warning. We had a few of that going on last critique, where I know stuff happens. You guys were running and racing in with two, boards, or I don't know if you had any, late entries right at the final moment. The door is about to close and they're trying to hand you your audio file. But that is not a way to structure yourself. If it's incomplete, you didn't get it finished by Monday and you got to turn it in anyway, I would rather you do that. I would rather you turn something on time incomplete than to turn something in late that is complete. And I know that sounds weird, but in the industry, the previous is acceptable. The other, unless you've made some specific arrangements, is not. I would much rather you turn something in incomplete. You didn't quite get it done, but what you have done is exceptional, and you give it to me, and it's not quite done, but here it is. Much better than 2 days later walking in and going, oh, well, I didn't see you or whatever, and here it is. Great way to get fired or never to get a gig again with those people. You had a gig and you were supposed to show up on Friday night to play, and instead you showed up on Sunday, because, oh, I didn't have my program ready on Friday night, I'm just showing up Sunday to play. They'd say, take a walk.
Yeah, that's nice. We already have a bill, so.
Yeah, bye. So it's a lesson. You got to learn these lessons. And so that is what I'm saying. Everyone who is hearing this, who isn't in the room, who's hearing this as a video on Blackboard, you'll understand. So that's what we're looking for. You have today, Saturday, Sunday to complete it, and even some on Monday to complete it. And get it to me before I leave, which I leave on Mondays, usually, around 4. And the reason is that as I head over to the BCC, I'm usually here till 6:30 over there. If you know where the BCC is, which all of you know, and you're racing in there with your jump drive at 6:15 trying to find me, I'll accept it. But I don't want you to be racing up to us on Wednesday morning with a jump drive saying, can you accept this? Because we'll say, nah. I'll accept it, but it won't be saved. And you probably won't be happy with the grade that you receive either. Incomplete, yes. On time. Not on time, unless you've made some special arrangement. No, can't do it. Questions about that? Yeah. No, just like we were doing on the previous review day, we aren't having formal class meeting on Monday. You are turning your stuff in on Monday. That's the last day. Some of you will have nothing to do Monday because you're going to get it to me today or you're going to send it to me over the weekend. We will then meet as a group, as we did last time, on Wednesday, start in the courtyard. Everyone will gather. We'll move into the galleries and we'll start our review. And then those that we're not finished with, we will continue that on the following Friday. And that's how that will go. It'll be identical to how we reviewed our last, rotation. So good question. And that will be in the announcement as well. I'll send the announcement just like before. Hey, everybody, Monday the 19th, turn everything in. We're not meeting formally. Wednesday, Friday, here's what it looks like. You'll also get a menu next week, a menu of final projects. And there'll be more info on that during that critique. We'll be announcing, here's how this works, here's what we're going to be doing. So that will be completely clear about what the final 6 weeks of class are going to kind of look like. Yes?
So the final 6 weeks is not going to be like 6 weeks for one.
I will talk more about that on Wednesday to answer your questions on how the final is structured, but it will be one project that you will be working on over the whole time, most likely collaboratively with others. But it won't be another rotation that we're going to be doing. We won't be doing the 3-week rotation for the final. Yes. Yeah, you should be able to put your video on the website. The website, you just follow the instructions of Mangino or Deffenbaugh. They should have told you how to do that. You'll be sending them either a link, however they instructed you to turn it in. The video, audio, so the art and music portion is one thing that you're going to be handing to me, not Johnson.
Don't hand anything to me. All goes to
Just
him,
go to me.
and then we will be and look at it at the same time together.
Right.
And integrate it as a team. All right.
Right. So it's all one thing for that. But the web page is you're turning that into Mangino. I don't know. Did Deffenbaugh say you could turn it into him? You don't think so? So it will be her. So for that question, go ahead and message her and say, I have my web page ready. How would you like me to give it to you? If that hadn't been made clear. All right. Any other questions before we just sort of get into, you guys can start working and putting it together. I'll be hovering.
I do have a question.
Sure, Angelica.
So, you said that the QuickTime was only available on MacBooks.
You may download it for free onto other platforms like PC.
Okay, and then you basically just go to like your web browser and just type in QuickTime Player and download it.
Correct.
Okay, I tried it on my PC, and on my PC it didn't really work. It was like telling me that I needed to buy some things in order to use it. And then I tried to download it on like my phone because it's an Apple product just to see like if it would work, and it also did not let me do it. So I don't know, like an alternative, I guess.
The alternative, because you have a Apple product on your phone, the alternative could be iMovie. Your phone will have something called iMovie on it, and it is only just one baby step more complex than what I was showing you on QuickTime. And it is following the same process that I just was following. It's no different. It's drag and drop, scooch them around. Same thing with the audio, drag and drop, scooch them around. So you may use, since you have the Apple phone, you may use iMovie. And if you don't have iMovie on your phone yet, it should be, because I think that comes with the basic software. You should be able to then go to the App Store, and it's free for iMovie for your iPhone, and you will be able to download that and use it.
Okay, cool. I do have iMovie, so I'll give that a try and see if that works.
Yeah, feel free to message me if you have other questions, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. Again, that software is an intuitive design that is, like I said, only just slightly more bells and whistles than what I'm showing you here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we stop recording? Deadly silence. It's like, no. Enter the crickets, right? All right, well, if you don't have any other questions, I will be here, you know, to answer questions. I'm presuming you wanted to stop by just to... Right on. Sounds good. Great. So we're here to help you put those together. Do yourself a favor. You're here right now, so go ahead and just put it together if you've already got all your stuff. There's no reason why you wouldn't. So, all right. If there's no other questions, we'll end it there with the formal, here's the presentation, and then go forward. Do you have any other questions, Angelica?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.